are back. Hello. How are you? Now we're live. Oh, now we're okay. All right, good. We're live now. TC says we're live. We're not live. We're live. You know how we get down here. What's going on, y'all? Maybe everybody who's in the chat? Greg,
got 3,
Ammo.
4.
Thank you. Get more in here. Get more likes in here. What's going on? We got a great show for y'all today. Jeff is still out. I'm captaining the ship. We're going to talk about Dak Prescott and how this contract is tied to him. We're going to open up the show and just kind of give you a behind the scenes from the article by Todd Archer, just how the process happened with your new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, getting paid. Will McClay, he's also going to be in today's show. We're going to talk about maybe there's a little bit of foreshadowing for the Cowboys. And our boy, Joe Hoyt, got a little 100-day breakdown for you right here on the baddest podcast around, DLLS Cowboys. Starting right now. It's Thursday. It's sunny outside. It was raining all day this morning, but we're back here for another great show.
Yeah. What? I was talking to Joe. I was letting you go.
I know, but when you talk to me, you talk to them.
When TC says you're unmuted, that means your mic is hot. I'm trying to do an intro and you're trying to talk. What's up, everybody out there? Make sure you hit the subscribe button, get our likes up throughout this show. Let's get right into this thing because clearly Clarence got stuff that he want to say this morning. I am your host, Jesse Holly.
Oh, Jesse.
Oh, Jesse Holly went 77 yards. It must be a reality show.
Yeah, a little bit. We're gonna get it right though. To my right is Cowboys beat writer Clarence Hill.
If you want to win, put pop. Got the neck roll. Y'all don't know about the neck roll.
You got energy today. Was it the bubbly that you had earlier?
It was not the bubbly. That stuff is nasty.
Clarence tried bubbly for the first time.
Nasty
and,
stuff.
I love it.
When you know the term "stick to the rivers and lakes that you used to," you know that don't go
chasing waterfalls.
Okay. But
sorry, I liked it.
Yeah. So Clarence is normally kind of a soda guy. I don't know if we should put the labels on there because they ain't quite paying us just yet.
Here, how about hold on.
The other way. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Clarence is an 8 a.m. soda guy. Like, that's just what he does. And Joe's more sophisticated. Like, he's more of the bubbly type. He's more of the seltzer water type thing. And so Clarence like, I will get one. What do you want? So she gets a bubbly. And, of course, he brings the bubbly back. Joe brings the bubbly back for Clarence. He takes it.
It's nasty.
Not good. Not
nasty.
You were having a fit.
To my far right, our other and probably the up-and-coming, the young stallion. It's going to be interesting. These two going to be in New Orleans together. The old lion and the new lion. But the new lion is Joe Hoyt.
Tell him something, Joe.
I'm interested, you two, in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun. I'm taking him to breweries. We're going to get a lot of seltzers.
You're not taking me anywhere.
What do you mean?
Not taking me
Those who know Clarence. Nobody really can hang with Clarence. Like,
bro,
on the low.
No, for real.
Nobody can really hang with Clarence.
No, he's the most energized 59-year-old I have ever met.
Like, Pop is truly living out the Pop life because of what your sleep schedule is. You don't go to sleep.
I don't.
You need to sleep, dude.
I try, man. I mean, I'm putting on that music at night.
Your mic. Take your mic.
I'm putting on that music at night, trying to get that sleep. I mean, it's tough.
You two are going to be interesting in.
Good news is we got our own room.
We do have our own room. No bunk beds.
We got our own key.
No bunk beds.
I come in, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Just letting y'all in behind the scenes.
You gonna be out to 3 o'clock in the morning?
Pop was so worried about the living arrangements in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Like, and I get it. Like, this dude has been around for a long time. He's kind of done his own thing for a long time, own bed, all that kind of stuff. And so when they got the ramifications of what the living condition was going to be like, Pop was like, hold on now. I'm not into the whole this content house. I'm not into this whole, somebody having a bed. I can see his bed. He can see my bed. he was worried about that. But I'm taking it that everything worked out.
It looks like it. It looks like it. We got the location, got a little Airbnb. We got fun down on Peters Street, so that's like right in the central business district.
Why are you giving out our address
I didn't
already?
say
Are you
where.
already fishing?
Oh
I didn't
no,
say the
Are you
number.
already fishing?
Peters is a long street.
You are already fishing.
you know he
Peters is a long street.
He pop outside.
He's already casting his die.
Yeah, the net is cast wide in New Orleans. He trying to get a little gumbo. If you know what I mean.
Have you been
know
to
what I
the
mean?
Have you been to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, no, not Super Bowl. No.
Okay.
You're in
The
for the
talent,
first
is,
time.
the talent is plentiful.
Yes. So Todd Archer came out with an article this morning, and it just kind of walked everybody behind the scenes of how this hire happened. We all had, Joe, you were the first one on it about Schottenheimer's a real deal. And we all speculated. Of course, there was a conversation with Deion Sanders. There were conversations with Pete Carroll. And, of course, you had the actual interviews with Robert Saleh and Kellen Moore and Leslie Frazier. And you can feel how you feel about what those were. But just a kind of a little bit of a rundown on how that went. I thought it was pretty interesting. It better be interesting.
Better be interesting.
That when you look at this article and the timeline from it, you hear always Jerry Jones. You hear always Stephen Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But the name that comes up that was really kind of like, hey, let's take a look at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Was Jerry Jr.
Yeah.
Jerry Jr. was one of the guys who came to his dad and said, hey, if we're going to make this search and we're kind of like, casting our net not wide, we're not really going for the big time candidates. We're not going for the AGs of the world, Aaron Glenn's or the Slowicks or the Ben Johnsons or Liam Cohen's. If we're not going to do that, then we need to look within our building. And they initially had brought in Brian Schottenheimer to interview as the offensive coordinator. That also goes to show you that the Cowboys were hell bent on putting their own staff together.
Mm-hmm.
Like whoever was going to be the next head coach, the Cowboys brass was saying, we're going to be the ones who put people in place how we want them. So they brought Schottenheimer in to interview for the offensive coordinator job. And here's what one of the quotes says. It says, I just lost it, but it just basically says, if we went that way, that means away from Schottenheimer, as much as we're going down the path, we'd have some heartbreak there for us, said Jerry Jr., the youngest of the Jerry three children, the Cowboys chief staff and marketing officer. So as the Cowboys were moving away from the other situations, they had the 13th, they were like, Mike McCarthy, you're not going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And they then begin the process of bringing in Brian Schottenheimer. And then by that Friday night, when you were getting ready to go out, you was chilling, I was chilling, Kit Kat was chilling, it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And they had that
But
conversation.
we said it was coming out on Friday.
You said it was coming out on Friday.
Yeah.
But they were at dinner
Right.
and finally got a chance. He got with his agent, Jimmy Sexton, and they kind of
Which is
put the
interesting.
framework in it. Another interesting note that was in this article, the fallout between Michael McCarthy, Michael from Pittsburgh is what I call him,
Mhm.
and Jerry Jones were contract years.
Right.
Yep.
Michael wanted 5 years.
Yep.
Jerry wanted 3. And so I guess he came to a consensus with 4 years with the new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. But Jimmy Sexton got the framework in it, and then they moved on from there. Here's where we stand today with Brian Schottenheimer being the new head coach. I'll start with you, Clarence. Are you shocked to hear that Jerry Jr. was one of the ones who had the name Schottenheimer kind of in his mouth, pause, that was pushing for him to be the next head coach?
Very much, very much. And to me, when you look at this process, it just tells you how rotten the process was. It's another double down on how rotten the process was. Number one, when we talk about them interviewing a offense coordinator and trying to put an offense coordinator in place for whoever the head coach is, that's not how it's supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how your head coach should decide who's going to run his offense. The offensive coordinator should be beholden to the head coach. Okay, that's his right hand man. Okay, that's not how it should go. And with all due respect, and I've been around here a long time, Jerry Jones Jr. has never been involved in football decisions. We've talked about that. He's never been part of that. He handles the marketing. He handles a lot of different things. He's never been a part of football decisions. Now he's helping you guys make football decisions. He wasn't up there with Jerry and Steven when they were announced the head coach the other day. And listen, he's done a great job with the broadcast arm, done a great job with the marketing arm. He's been a part of putting the stadiums together. Certainly was a big part of the marketing for the Star and everything else. But now he's been involved. And again, this is another example of the Cowboys mixing everything together. This whole gumbo of what they're doing.
Joe, you were talking about in your initial approach to this, some of the uniqueness by it and how Brian Schottenheimer was a guy who, once he got in front of the room, he would be good in front of the room. And a part of the article says that when they begin to talk about him, they talked about his phrase was continuity through the change.
Yeah.
And they said they met with him the first time and they were like, okay, like I like what he's saying. And then they brought him back again and said, tell me about your offensive, defensive philosophy. Tell me about your head coaching. But it was that statement of continuity through the change that really was a selling point for Jerry Jones. Like, how is Brian, like, is what Brian Schottenheimer saying in these interviews, is that something that a lot of guys that from your research, they look at and say, that's why we wanted them?
Yeah, no, I think too, kind of my understanding is that there was potential within the building to potentially move on from Mike McCarthy the year before, right? After the Green Bay loss, there was a thought, they had conversations. When that didn't happen, and Jerry Jones brought Mike back. Obviously, he went to the lame duck year. But I think there was intrigue in the idea of change even stemming a year ago. And I think with Schottenheimer specifically, he's very smart. He's very charismatic. And one thing we know about the Jerry Jones specifically, and I think Stephen Jones to that extent as well, is that they hear things and then they talk about it, right? It becomes talking points, and then they bring it back out into the public. You see it every Tuesday and every Friday with Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan when he goes on there. Things are told to him, and he shares them. He's debriefed, he shares them. I think it's interesting that I think Stephen shares that too, because if you talk to Stephen Jones like we did at the press conference and in the walk-off, he harped on this, the idea that, hey, we were able to keep continuity but also have a spark of change, and that spark of change can be good. And that is coming from Brian Schottenheimer. I do think it's interesting too. My understanding is that Stephen Jones has been interested in the idea of Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach for a while, right? And I think that the fact that you had Stephen and Jerry Jr. together on that is interesting. I don't think the idea that Jerry Jones versus the kids, this whole arms race, I don't think that that's exactly what it was. I think Jerry had to be convinced to make this hire, and I think that's why he called Steve Spurrier. That's why he called Pete Carroll. I don't think it's this big divide, but I do think it's fascinating that the two Jones sons were in agreement, I think, on who they wanted to be the next head coach.
Continuity through change. It's an oxymoron.
I love oxymorons.
That's an oxymoron.
I love oxymorons.
If you won't change,
If you want to win,
put chill in. But if you won't change, get change. I mean, we're talking about 30 years.
yeah.
I mean, do the air quote. We're talking about 30 years. And this whole continuity thing, I mean, that's what Dak talked about. And now I know we're going to get into that. They want continuity. How does continuity get you to the next level? I mean, why does comfortability? I mean, continuity to me is about being comfortable. Okay, you want to make things comfortable, but you want to make change. You want to make these comfortable. That's kind of like your slow plan. That's kind of like it's kind of like putting somebody in timeout. How do you nice up a breakup?
You always do it at their house. You always break up at their house.
You're trying to
change is daunting.
You're trying to placate and everything else. You need change. You're trying to do something you haven't done before. It's like Michael Irvin taught. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result, regardless of change. It's really about continuity.
You know what's funny?
It better be funny.
In 2012, when I first started blogging for Bleacher Report from my just house, one of the lines I first wrote was Jerry Jones has to be going insane because he keeps doing the same thing over and over again. We're talking about Jason Garrett. The fact that we continue to talk about this 13 years later is so telling, in my opinion.
A little drought. Your little drought. Like your little friend.
Yeah,
your little
job,
football team.
Your little job.
Your little job.
Your little friend.
Your little podcast.
Your little podcast.
Yeah.
All that good stuff right there, man. But I mean, it's so much into what we have here with the Cowboys and what they do in this coaching search. But the die has been cast, or the cast has been died, and so now we go forward with it. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We want to get over 200. We've been 200 all week, and I'm not going to sit in this seat, and you're not going to allow me not to be under 200. We're not going down. We're going up. We won't have a drought when I'm sitting here, so make sure you hit that like button for the algorithm. Coming up next, we talk about Brian Schottenheimer is your new head coach, but the person who advocated for this the most was Dak Prescott. The continuity through the change. Is this a Dak Prescott hire? And what is the expectations from Dak Prescott under this new hire? Stay right here with us on the DLLS Cowboys Podcast. Let me tell you about my good friends, Ice Shaker. And this is a company that was founded and birthed by the Grunt brothers. You know the Grunt brothers.
Spikes.
Spikes, all that. And I always talk about the workout one because that's what, that's near and dear to my heart. But I know that we have a bunch of people who don't necessarily always work out, but like a good cup. This cup quality, it's good, it's durable, it's keep your drinks hot or cold for up to 30 hours. It has this good gripper thing right here because sometimes, ladies, I know you feel like, what are men for? We're here for twisting these tops off. But it has a good gripper thing on it right here. Good plastic straw, all that kind of good stuff. It got the little things inside. And, of course, it's officially licensed in all sports. So whether you're a Cowboy fan, whether you're a Texas Rangers fan, whether you're a Mavs fan, whether you're a Stars fan, or whether you're a fan of any other sport in the league, you can go to the custom part of the website on iceshaker.com and get this. Make sure you use our promo code ALLCITY25 to get 25% off one of these great little things right here.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I talked about it being officially licensed. You got to get out to a game. You got to go to a game today. Now, I don't know if you're the DFW or wherever you're watching that. Game Time travels. All you got to do is download the app, put it on your phone. I always say, put it right next to the banking app on your phone or whoever you bank with. Put Game Time, put the banking app because when you get tickets on Game Time, you're going to take money from there and it's going to be back into your account. Because if you use our promo code DLLS, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase of a ticket. So you're not going to spend that much money. And what's great about Game Time is all that other fluffy stuff when you use other ticket sites, you know what I'm talking about. You order a ticket and all of a sudden it says $10 today. By the time you get the checkout, it's $2 million. All that stuff is cut out the way. So head on over and download the Game Time app. Use the promo code DLLS and get $20 off your first purchase. What time is it?
Game time.
Oh, forgot about that. Forgot about what time is it. Game time.
Hey, it's okay.
Yeah, but way to be a good teammate. Way to make sure I was there. The Dallas Cowboys hired their head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, and we know what he was. He was the offensive coordinator. Didn't call plays.
Nope.
Help, I guess, design the plays. Help put together the game plan.
Mm-hmm.
He bit his lip on certain things. He had some deference on certain things. But the one thing that is true about this hire is this was fueled and pushed, and it was in the mind of the Joneses of how this would impact Dak Prescott. This is your $60 million man.
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy who, if your team is going to go anywhere, if they're going to make it to the NFC Championship game, if they're going to break that little drought, it's going to be on the backs, arms, legs, brains, feet, hammies, quads, knees of Dak Prescott. But now that he has his guy, now that Dak Prescott has the guy that he wished for, and there's continuity there, and the verbiage won't change much, and the scheme won't change much as far as what the play calls are. They'll have some other things in there. I'll start with you, Joe. What are the expectations that we should have, fans should have, when it looks like Dak Prescott, this is your guy? No more excuses.
Yeah.
Like, what are the expectations that are set forth right now for Dak Prescott?
That you play like a $60 million guy. I mean, that you are one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think there's potential. And I want to preface this because I saw a little face you just made.
Yeah, he made a face.
He did make a face. I want to preface this by, if you're throwing to the maybes, that's going to be tough, right? If you have right guard getting blown by and you got pressure in your face, it's going to be tough to be that dude. But if you're keeping continuity, if you're keeping things right, Dak Prescott 2 years ago was an MVP runner-up, right? And Brian Schottenheimer's on staff. If you're going to do continuity through change, you got to make sure that you get Dak Prescott back to the level of being a potential MVP contender with help from the free agency and trade stuff, which we're going to talk about in a little bit from here. But if Dak Prescott was an advocate of this, and he was, one thing to note that he also was in support of Mike McCarthy to come back as well. And probably a big reason why was continuity. He doesn't want to learn a new offense overall. I do think one aspect that could help Dak Prescott too is a little bit of change to the offense in terms of, we got continuity, but let's tweak some things. How about going out and getting an OC that has a different idea, different philosophy from someone else, specifically in the run game? I do like Clayton Adams from Arizona as potential. Cardinals averaged 5.3 yards per carry last season. I think if you could bring that guy in, get a running back like Ashton Jeanty, pair that with Dak Prescott, give him the offense that he had, maybe he can be the $60 million quarterback that they're paying him like.
Only reason I'm pushing back is because we get caught up with $60 million, okay? Ain't
Wait,
nobody.
Wait. Like when you say that, that's not a false thing.
No, it's not
right?
Like
that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but okay.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you went out and you spent $150,000 on a Porsche, right? And you get on the tollway and you go to hit the gas and you can't go buy a Honda Accord, you're going to have an issue with that. If you go and spend money on a $500,000 home, $1 million home, and 2 weeks into that home, your roof is leaking, you're going to have a problem with that. You go out and you buy one of those big, I know you got one in your crib, you got one of those big 85-inch, 8K flat screens on the wall, and all of a sudden, your picture's blurry. It's a big deal when you add that price tag to it. Like, and I'm not saying that it's all hell bent upon that, but yes, when you add that price tag, and I know that's the going rate for quarterbacks at this time, but there is expectations that are tied to the fact that you make that amount of money. I agree on the surface, but we know football. Okay, let's have a reasonable mind. Let's say we
all know football. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And so we're not fans who will get caught up with the price tag.
No,
we know Dak is not better than Patrick Mahomes. Okay, if there's anybody that should be the highest paid player in football, right, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Correct.
Okay, there's an unreasonable expectation because he makes $60 million. He's supposed to play like Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not saying you were saying that. But that's what fans say, because I get that argument all the time. Why is Dak making it? He's making that money because of the market. Correct. He's not making that money because he's a $60 million quarterback. Can't we just have to reasonable minds understand why he's $60 million, okay? He's not pulling a rabbit out of his hat. He's not going to do some of the special things that some of those guys do. Okay, but, I understand that, but that's what they're paying.
But when you're paid that much, you need to help out others.
Not even that. I'm not saying that you have to do the overall. You don't have to go and be Patrick Mahomes. But you can't go and throw 2 interceptions.
No, but that's part of the game. But Patrick Mahomes does throw 2 interceptions. All of them throw interceptions.
Right, but when you're at that price tag, and when you're at that price tag,
listen, it's not about the money. Okay, it's like we talk about the Eagles. Okay, whether it's $50 million or $60 million, when he was getting $50 million, with the $40 million was the same talk. Okay, Eagles paid their quarterback. Okay, at the top of the game.
Take the mic with you.
They paid their quarterback at the time.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Dak has gone past that. At the top of the heap, he's not as good as Dak, but they went and got him help. Okay?
No, that's the nuance.
You're not gonna, just because you make $60 million, you're not gonna be perfect. You're gonna throw interceptions. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do things. You still need other things. So I'm just saying that we need to. Tom, if you make $6 million, you got to play like you're $6 million.
But they also have Howie Roseman in Philadelphia, who's able to manipulate.
That's not Dak's fault.
No, that's not Dak's fault. That's my point. But here in Dallas, do they have Howie Roseman? I understand that. Do they operate like Howie Roseman?
Those are organizational issues. Okay,
100%.
Those organizations. I'm just saying that we get caught up in $60 million. He's not worth $60 million. And I'm a big Dak guy. He ain't nobody worth $60 million. He's not worth $60 million. It's like anything. Okay, the next guy's gonna get the most money. If you look at the top 5 or 10 quarterbacks, Dak is probably not going to be top 5, okay?
No doubt.
But he makes the most money. So the idea, because he makes the most money, he has to play the best. That's not realistic.
That's fair.
Can we have some realistic conversations about the money? That's all I'm saying. Can we have some realistic conversations about the money, about the type of player he is? And certainly, yes, this deal, this coach was made with Dak in mind, continuity, but they also talked about, hey, we don't want Dak throwing the ball 40 times. We want to marry the running game. We want to do some things to help him be a better quarterback, more efficient quarterback. He might be, at some place like Jalen Hurts, we're not throwing for 200 and 300 yards. He might be throwing for 150 or 200 yards, but they're more efficient. They win games. Is that going to be worth $60 million? If they win games, yes, but the statistics won't say that.
But the reality of it is he's in Dallas and not in Philadelphia. He doesn't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. He doesn't have Howie Roseman making plays. You need help. You need Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. Let's get this out of the way. They need to help Dak Prescott and Brian Schottenheimer, or else this thing will not go. But in the reality, they haven't proven that they're capable of doing that. So you're going to need Dak Prescott also to play better than beyond his means, in my opinion.
No doubt. But he played well last year. Okay, he played.
They don't win the Pittsburgh game with.
No, I mean 2023.
ago.
I go back to 2023.
I'm gonna say even when he was in, before he
no,
got hurt last year,
I'll go back to 2023. Okay, when he finished second MVP balloting. If you look at his stats were much better than Lamar Jackson. Just go look at his stats
fantastic.
and look at the numbers. Stats. I go back to that Miami game. Dak led him down the field. They don't win on the road. They came, led him down the field against Miami. Threw a touchdown pass to Brandon Cook against the best quarterback in football. Okay, what the defense do?
Yeah, gave him a touchdown to lose. Yeah. No, we're on the same.
What did the defense do?
They gave a touchdown to lose, or a field goal to lose.
But we forget that. We forget him coming back. You go back. We forget the things that he does and that done well.
We forget that. We
forgot about it. People,
I think we all know.
Not we, but people forget about it. Act like he never shows up in big games. That's all I'm saying is that we have to have some common sense when we talk about $60 million and the level he should play at. Yes, he has to play better than what he played last year, but there were a whole lot of problems with that team last year coming into the season. And the idea that you're going to get back to what you got in 2023 with Brian Schottenheimer, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Brian's a better offensive coordinator than Mike McCarthy. I don't know that Brian calls better plays than Mike McCarthy. Certainly, they're going to run the ball more and they're going to do some different things. But, I mean, I'm just saying, let's have some common sense. I mean, I understand when fans and people on Twitter talk about $60 million. I mean, but we can't keep bringing up $60 million like Dak is going to be Patrick Mahomes every week.
But that's the reality of what it is.
But that's
the reality of what he is.
It's the reality of what the hype is. It's the reality of what the hype is. It's not what it is. Because the Cowboys do not expect, there's no one who watches Dak day in and day out think that he's going to play like a $60 million quarterback when you consider what that means as far as the best quarterbacks in the league.
What are your expectations for Dak Prescott now that he has his guy at OC, at head coach? What are the expectations going forward?
Well, I mean, obviously the expectations to be more efficient. I mean, Dak talked about it. Certainly they want the continuity. Brian Schottenheimer talked about it, marrying the run game and play action. Dak talked about being more of a play action game. They have to fix the run game, okay? You have to cut out the turnovers, but you need guys to make plays for you. I mean, they still, and I've said it, it's been seeded a bunch of maybe. You cannot ask Dak to, throw the ball and catch the ball too.
No.
It ain't Bugs Bunny. It was, that's what Keyshawn said. I ain't Bugs Bunny. I can't throw it and catch it too, okay?
You're excited today. I like this.
It's the Dr. Pepper.
Listen, I like
the Dr. Pepper.
If we got to give you a sip of bubbly first and then give you the soda after that to get you like this, I like it. I like when you get passionate.
Yeah.
Well, it just drives me crazy. Because I mean, I hear my friend, my son, they always $60 million. I mean, let's have some common sense with it. Yes, that's what they paid him. That's what it costs. That's what the market value.
Yeah.
It's like when you buy houses, the market goes up based on what the next house is worth.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it, that doesn't mean that the house is any better than the house.
Well, here's a comp. Yeah, $1 million house in San Francisco is a lot smaller than $1 million house in Texas, which is why if he was in Philadelphia and could get all the help that Jalen Hurts has, he would do even better. We are on this.
Yeah, we're on the same page, but I mean, he needs to play like he's $60 million.
See, but you keep throwing that quote out.
He's not going to play like he's $60 million.
He's going to pay like $60 million in Dallas.
Like, he has to be the Patrick Mahomes of Dallas.
He's not, though.
But in order for them to...
He's not,
he
though.
has to.
If he doesn't elevate...
Can you give me Andy Reid to go with him?
If he doesn't...
Can you bring Andy Reid?
If he doesn't elevate... If Dak doesn't elevate his game...
Yes, he did last year. It didn't matter.
He didn't last year.
I'm talking about the 2023. I'm thinking this year, and last year was 2023.
So but we can't skip 2024. He did play some of that season.
Right? No. I'm thinking 24 is this year.
They also had no running game when he was at quarterback this year, and I think that was a huge part. So get him a running game, it might help. To your point,
they're together now, right? Brian Schottenheimer, Dak Prescott are together. They know now, hey, this is what I need. You want me to be successful? I'm going to need X, Y, and Z. I'm going to need some bodies to go with that CD. I'm going to need some run game. I'm going to need some protection. If you want me to be the $60 million dude, then I'm going to need some help. The expectation is all around for everybody, but Dak doesn't make $60 million, so we need a lot from him. All right, coming up next, our good friend Joe Hoyt, he talked about a little bit yesterday about the 100 days And you went in and you wrote a great story. And so you're going to break that down. And you're going to give us each one of those segmented things of what the Cowboys could do in the next 100 days. Stay right here with us on the Cowboys DLLS podcast. And let me tell you about my friends at the East-West Shrine game. The game is happening tonight. There's still time. Go get tickets. Go to shrinebowl.com right now. Use the promo code DLLS. And tickets are just starting at $20 per ticket. And if you buy 2 or more when you use that promo code, you get 50% off. So you can bring a friend, a brother, a son, a mate, whoever you want to bring to the game. It's a fantastic game. Today's stars become tomorrow legends. You have names of the past like Brock Purdy played in this game. Names like from the Cowboys, you have
Rico Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle was in this game. There's going to be a bunch of the Colorado dudes in this game. Joe was out there this past week, and he saw a bunch of talent that maybe even the Cowboys need to kind of keep an eye on. Head on over to shrinebowl.com. Use the promo code DLLS. Get tickets starting at $20, and if you buy 2 or more, you get 50% off. And our friends at Sleepers. Now remember, this is one of those reads that always get me. It's the best fantasy league platform out there. Put your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorites or least favorites players will have more or less than their projected stats each weekend. We have the Super Bowl coming up. Of course, you can pick more or less on whether they'll have yards, more or less. Patrick Mahomes will do this. Jalen Hurts will do that. Both of those guys, you know, they got their teams, Clarence, to the Super Bowl. No, I'm just messing with you. Sleeper keeps you in the loop with instant alerts to breaking news and major injuries. You can do basketball. You can do baseball. You can do hockey. Jeff sits here. Sometimes he does hockey. Not really my thing. But if you use the promo code DLLS Boys, when you play $5, you get $55. So head over, download the Sleeper app where the game is official. DLLS Boys is where you need to use the code at to get $55 when you use a $5, place a $5, whatever they call it.
I got a
placement.
I got a question for you.
What's the question, bro?
It better be a question.
It's gonna be a question.
You lit right now. I like it.
You know Patrick Mahomes never won a bowl game and takes a stick.
I don't care.
What I'm saying is it was because of the trash around him.
Don't care.
My guy Cliff's getting called trash.
Don't care. What you did in college don't matter in the league.
My point is, but I'm telling you, being with Andy Reid makes a lot of difference. And I looked at because I don't think the Chiefs that offense
they compared Brian Schottenheimer to Andy Reid. You know this.
Oh my God, yes they did. Did you see that the other day?
Yeah, that's a rough.
I was saving that for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. That's a rough one.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
We got Andy Reid at home.
Yeah.
That's a rough one.
That's a rough one.
That's
a
rough.
terrible comparison.
That's not.
That's a terrible comparison. But Joe, and again, if you are a diehard, you'll see these articles that my good friend Joe writes, that Clarence writes. Joe, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but you went more in depth in your article. The 100 days, right? Between now and the next 100 days, we hear about this a lot in the presidential candidacy about what the president will do in the next 100 days and how that will shape their term going forward. Are they going to meet some of those promises? Are they going to meet some of those things that they talked about during their campaign? And we've heard a lot from the Cowboys in the presser. And we, of course, if you've been around here long enough, you've heard a lot of things from Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, and all the other Joneses. But you wrote an article that breaks down the 100 days. And there's each thing where you look at and say, hey, by this time, they should be able to do this, this, and this. Kind of give us and the fans a little bit more insight to what that 100 days look like.
Yeah, I was also inspired by The Office, where Steve Carell says it's a 45-day plan, 45 points. We're going to get back in business, and I think the Cowboys.
Do you have a favorite dance that you like to do when you talk about the presidency?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Oh,
people dance when they talk about the presidency? That's wild. Okay, first section of this 100-day plan is days.
Just didn't know if you had a dance that you like to break out.
No, Clarence does though.
Please don't.
Day 1 through 22 is my first. I split this up into 6 segments. Day 1 through 22 is you got to finish out your staff. They're already going to start. Got a good start. They hired 3 defensive assistants yesterday. OC is in the process. They've interviewed 2. We'll see where that goes. Like I said, Clayton Adams from Arizona is a guy that I would watch.
They need some diversity on this staff. I just want to say that.
They're trying to retain Lunda Wells.
Staff is lacking diversity right now.
One of the guys from yesterday.
One of the guys.
One of the 3. So that's what your first thing is. You got to finish out the staff and you got to do it strong. I think retaining Lunda Wells, if you can retain him, I think would be key to keep some of that continuity through change. We talked about Clayton Adams potentially bringing some new information here. I think that could be good. After that, you got day 23 through 37, and that's when the franchise tag window opens up. And I think one thing the Cowboys have to decide, if you listen to Stephen Jones at the press conference and you listen to what he told reporters, including Josh Tolentino yesterday at the Senior Bowl, there's a narrative that they need to change. They need to change the narrative in terms of spending and free agents. Well, one thing they do like to pay is their own guys. What about Osa Odigizua as a franchise tag candidate? That's $24 million estimated right now for a one-year deal for Osa Odigizua.
That's too much money.
I agree with you, but that would be changing the narrative, is if you could do that. And I think that would instill hope is if you can change the narrative.
Change the narrative signing your own, though. That's not changing the narrative. Changing the narrative is going out and getting somebody in free agency.
We'll get to that. But I do think that could be a thing. Micah Parsons also is part of this situation. That is the window, I think, because that includes the combine.
And let me just say about this, about the Osa situation. When you look at Matt Eberflus and what his defense requires,
100%.
He wants the bigger guys in the middle. And, whether they want to stay, I know, but whether they want
good three techniques.
Whether they want to keep that, whether that is Osa, again, continuity through the change.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they want that to be Osa, I know that is a requirement that Eberflus looks for in his guys up front.
Yeah, and one requirement to this whole 100-day plan requires, because it's not only about Brian Schottenheimer, it's about Steven and Jerry Jones. They just have to be different, right? So here's a great example. Combine last year, conversations were, hey, do you think maybe they could get a deal done with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott? It was very evident early that was not a thing. This year, get a deal done with Micah Parsons at the Combine. Get it done. And I know that the agent's going to make it tough. I know David Milligan is going to be negotiating well, but guess what? There's no question about the value of Micah Parsons. Go get it done. Day 38 through 44 is the last kind of window to keep your own. How about Jordan Lewis? Maybe you can identify him as a potential re-sign candidate. I have a whole list of free agents on my article that you should go check out that they need to consider bringing back in terms of keeping that continuity and bringing some guys who might have some familiarity with Dallas and the Cowboys. And this is my big thing, and I'm going to leave it here. Day 45 through 52. That is what is the first wave of free agency. That is something that the Cowboys have not been a part of for a while. That is something where they'd rather go sit on the beach and watch the wave pass it by. Okay? If you want to be different, if you want to instill hope that your narrative can change, that you can pay free agents, go pay an external free agent a contract of $10 million or more for the first time in a decade. Greg Hardy was the last one. The last time you did it's a multi-year deal, Brandon Carr, 2012. I was in high school when they signed the last time they did that.
Yeah, can you sign a free agent at big money and also pay Osa with a $24 million cap figure? If you're going to pay Osa that much money, then sign it to a long-term extension where he can lower his cap.
100%. Yeah.
Don't 24 because when you do the franchise tag, it's $24 million. That's your cap number.
Right. 1 year.
Okay, that's for 1 year, but that's your cap number. Okay.
Yeah, that's a
so
heavy one.
you can't do that. Give him $24 million and give Mike what you want to give him, and still put out the money you need to put out in free agency.
No,
if you're going to bring Osa back, then you need to sign into a long-term deal to lower that cap figure.
Yeah, and also this isn't like you have to do every single thing on this. This is just ways you can change the narrative about the Cowboys and instill hope in the Brian Schottenheimer era from the beginning before the season even starts. The last thing is day 88 to 100 draft. My opinion, take the best player available. Don't go meat and potatoes for needs. Don't worry about what you might have to get. If someone falls to you, pull a Philadelphia Eagles. Take the best player available.
Who's the best player available?
I think it'll be Ashton Jeanty. So, I mean, I'm pushing that agenda. There you go, dancing again.
It's not.
I know. But Mason Graham, we talked about this yesterday on Media Mash. I mean, I think it'd be fascinating if Mason Graham and Ashton Jeanty were both there. If a really, really good defensive tackle that shouldn't be there at 12 is there. A guy that could be your 3 technique in Eberflus's system. A guy that could kind of be that cornerstone for your defense, something that you're not going to get with Mozzie Smith. I'd be fascinated to see if they go for that or an Ashton Jeanty at 12.
Something that going back to the first segment when we talked about repeating the same thing over and over again, what continuity means. I know that there's going to be change. And when I hear the Joneses speak, when I hear Steven speak, when I hear Jerry speak, and I don't want to be negative, but I am a little bit, I'm scarred.
Yeah, and understandable.
I'm scarred. I'm scarred to the fact that when they say things to the media, especially around this time of the year, and we all remember the all in from a year ago. And so now when I hear Steven talking about I know that we need to change how we do things in free agency. Recognizing it and then making the necessary changes that I guess we feel like that should be made may not match up to what they feel like the changes that should be made.
100%.
And that's where I get a little bit skeptical. And I get to the point of, you know, it kind of got to be like Missouri. You know what I'm saying? You got to show me.
Show me.
You know what I mean? You got to show me that your words and your actions are in line, because you've sold us a lot of malarkey for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, my grandma used to have
100%.
a saying when I was younger. She would say, "Pee in my eye and tell me it's raining." You know what I mean? Like that part.
That's lying.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the lies that we've been fed for a long time. We hear all in. We hear that we're going to do this. We hear that the cap. We hear that all these things that we continuously hear coming out of the front office, and then we go, okay, what now? And it never gets met.
And that's the core component of the 100-day plan, is doing change and putting your money where your mouth is and making a difference and inspiring hope.
Your grandma was gangster, man, because you literally, the line is, pee down my back and tell me it's raining.
Nah.
Pee in my
I've heard pee on
eye?
my shoes. Yeah.
Now, pee in my eye? Ooh.
Yeah.
It will burn. Feel the burn.
Maybe grandma was a little freakily. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she was a little, I thought it was always pee in my eye and tell me it's raining.
Pee down my back and tell me it's raining.
I heard pee on my shoes.
Why would you pee on my back or pee on my
Because
shoes?
the rain is
Because the rain is going.
The rain is coming on your back.
When the rain hits you
Does
in the
rain
face,
burn your eyes?
I'm not looking up in the rain.
Yeah, you do. You walk outside, you look up, you look at the rain,
I'm looking
oh, it's
down.
raining.
When I walk outside, it's rain. I'm doing this. It's peeing down. It's coming down my back.
Well,
You
I
know,
don't do that. I don't do that.
Nobody does that.
Well, nobody looking up in the rain.
You
That
never-
ain't getting in my eyes.
No,
Who gets rain in their eyes?
Chat, which one have you heard? Have you heard pee on my shoe and tell me it's raining? Pee on my back and tell me it's raining? Or pee in my eye
I
and
ain't
tell me
never
it's
heard
raining?
pee in my eye tell me it's raining.
Never.
I've never heard
I've
yours.
never heard those.
I've never heard yours.
Wow.
Is this a Jersey thing?
It gotta be a Jersey
I don't know
thing.
if it's a Jersey thing, but that's my grandmother, my uncles, my mother, my father. Everybody
Pee in
always
my
said
eye?
pee in my eye and
Never
tell me it's
heard
raining.
that.
Yeah,
Man.
P.D. Pablo. Yeah, grandma.
Yeah.
Maybe grandma was a little frickly.
I'm not touching your grandma. I'm
Listen,
just saying.
the apple don't fall too far from the tree.
See?
You know what I'm saying? I guess it is. It is what it is.
Ardell said down my back. That's what I heard. I mean, that's just down my back.
That's crazy. Have not heard I.
John, you got to get out more.
John never heard any of them.
Pee in my leg.
See,
in
leg,
my
that's
leg.
close.
Nah,
Closer to
no,
the shoes.
Jeremy never heard I. I ain't heard I either. Shoes.
Thank you, Trevor.
Devin,
Pee on my
and
head.
tell me it's raining. That's closer to the eye. So
It's
I
close
mean,
to the, yeah.
it's close to the eye, not
Drops
the
keep
back.
falling on my head.
I've never heard the eye.
Jesse, no. Clay, no one's heard I, sir.
That's wild. 77 yards of freaky. You never know. I get it.
7 yards of freaky is hilarious as well.
77.
I get
But yeah,
I get how I live.
the bottom line is, yeah, they need to be aggressive in these next 100 days. They need to be aggressive in changing how, if they're going to change how they do, if they're going to really be truthful, or are they peeing down the eye? You know, peeing in the eye.
Peeing in the eye.
You know who I want them to sign? I want them to go get 39-year-old Calais Campbell, who played 616 snaps this past season, was the 5th-rated Pro Football Focus defensive lineman. Go get Calais Campbell.
Like, I like Claire's last year. I just don't know if at this point going
Keep
forward.
doubting him. That's been the narrative for 5 years.
Again, they got Claire's at home.
Who?
Who that big boy? Who down here?
Nealon?
No, the big
Jordan
old
Phillips?
Dude. No, the big old dude that finished. Goodness gracious!
Oh,
Carl
Linval
Lawson?
Joseph.
They got big
No,
Linval.
Linval and Calais
They
are two
got
different.
Claire's at home.
No.
They got big Linval.
No.
Linval Joseph.
No. I'm out on Linval, and I'm like Calais.
How about Levi Ruzariki or the guy from the Lions? I like him. He's 27.
All right, but
3-tech pass rusher.
No Calais. I'm out fully.
That's fair.
On Calais.
What about Ginty?
I'm out on Ginty too.
You're out on Ginty?
How you out on
I'm
Ginty?
out on
January
Ginty.
30th.
I've been out on Ginty.
How you out on
You
him?
gotta
I
get in on
understand
Ginty.
it saying that I think there's other value, but how could you be out on a guy who could be maybe the 3rd best player in the whole draft?
I just have a feeling that
I have
a feeling that the college hype is not going to meet the professional.
Oh,
production.
you a small school. You're a snob. You're a
I'm-
big
I
school.
just-
You're a Power 5 snob now.
I just don't think so. All right. Well, the guy who will have an opportunity to make sure guys are drafted in the draft We'll talk about Will McClay. He's been here a very long time, but some things that Will McClay has done in this head coaching hiring cycle that he has not done before. Could the Cowboys be foreshadowing a little bit of what Will McClay may be during that time as Katia walks in behind me? Stay right here with us on the Cowboy DLLS Podcast. Are you a diehard? Like that is the question. We just gave you Joe's 100-day breakdown. Clarence is probably working on the story. While these guys will be in New Orleans, they'll be hitting the ground and they'll be meeting and talking with some people, and they'll be saying, hey, I got the scoop, I got the source, and they'll be building stories up. You don't want to miss them. You can't get them through all of the tweets. You can't get them through, a lot of times, a 15-minute segment. You got to read the content. How do you read the content? You become a diehard. Then you have exclusive access to all of the content. And if you happen to be a DFW fan, it ain't just for us. Yes, you will get our content, but you'll also get Mavs content. You'll also get Rangers content. You'll also get Stars content. And when we continue to build out the college content, you will get all of that as well. So go ahead and sign up to be a diehard today. And what do you get with that? Get a free t-shirt. We'll all have ours on tomorrow. Okay, get your free t-shirt. And it ain't just Cowboy related stuff. Again, it's Mavs, it's Rangers, it's Stars, Texas. They got all types of stuff. They got shot glasses. They got a bunch of stuff that is in there.
A&M.
They got A&M in there?
Yeah, they got A&M.
Do they?
Why did you have to bring A&M? I mean, just because you're married, you didn't got to cut for A&M because you're married to A&M. You ain't got to cut for them.
I got to keep you grounded. Dude.
No, you don't have to cut for
I got to keep you grounded.
He lay next to A&M. He don't lay next to you.
And he won't be laying next to me in New Orleans either.
No.
And he won't be laying next to me in New Orleans.
Why is that a threat?
It's not a threat.
I don't want to.
And you get $20 off any other purchase that you may want to make, that you may go to the merch store and see. You get access to all of our events. We're building those out for the 2025 year. So make sure that you're signed up to be a diehard. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to, and Ben keeps peeing in my eye and telling me it's raining, because I'm looking for.
Down your back.
I'm looking for a card.
Pee.
Pee down my back, pee down my leg, whatever Ben is doing.
Ben ain't R. Kelly.
We need our card. All right, man. Will McClay. Will McClay just read up. Now, let's just do the lineage of Will McClay. Will McClay got here in 2002.
Desperados.
Right? He was the head coach of the Desperados.
Yeah, he also worked in scouting.
And
He was
simultaneously,
doing
together.
He was
double.
doing double.
Yeah.
Whatever. What league
He was
that?
not the head coach first. No, he was assistant.
He was assistant.
under Joe Avazano. Joe Avazano was the first coach.
Shout out to my boy Joe Avazano.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Joe Avazano,
Yeah.
that's just another story for another day. But Joe Avazano was and is my dude. I love Joe Avazano. Huh? The Lon Seaman.
Milan, like you're at Milan? Oh.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
okay. All right. I
Shout
didn't
out to
know
Joe.
that. That's still my dude, but I didn't know he was coaching the Milan Seamen. Seamen. Did you set me up? You set me up, TC? You set me
No,
up?
that's what they call.
All right, here we go. Nah, you know.
That meant men out to sea.
I know.
Not
But
the other sea when you
This is
thinking
this
about.
show though.
Okay.
It's Italian, so it's Milano Seaman.
Yeah, this is this show. We don't never take things for what it is. We always take things for the jokey part.
The narrative, Milano.
About it. But Will McClay, he got here in 2022, and he's been 2002, and he's been building his legacy throughout this time. The Cowboys just now tied him in, kind of basically with Dak Prescott, and tied him in with Brian Schottenheimer because he signed a 5-year extension. His contract too was up with the rest of the coaches this past. He was a little bit longer until after the draft.
Yeah, it was after the draft.
After the draft when they all went, yeah.
But he's here and he's signed. But the one thing that Will McClay has been doing this coaching hiring series that he has not done prior to is he's been in on the coaches' interviews. He's been asked and gave input on the coaching hires. And he's also been one of the ones who kind of pushed for Brian Schottenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
Could we be seeing, and maybe I'm wrong, but let's talk about it. Could we be seeing the foreshadowing of the Cowboys looking down the road and saying, Jerry Jones is 82 years old? And I know he said that he bought this team to have a family business. But eventually he's going to have to step aside, whether that be retirement or the good Lord says it's about that time. And now we know that Steven is the next one up. Could we be looking at foreshadowing where Will McClay now is getting his opportunity to get to the other side of what a GM is? A GM is more than just building out a team, scouting players, but it's also the hiring process of a coach. Mm-hmm. Could, when Stephen Jones steps in and is the president, the owner, could he say, you know what? I'm going to give Will McClay the opportunity to be the GM of this football team. Is that a foreshadowing thing? Am I bugging? What do you think, Clarence?
Yeah, I think that the only people ever going to run this organization is when their last name is Jones. Or maybe Anderson.
Yeah.
But I think it's more Jones. I think I've always
said.
What
if Will McClay changes his name?
Is the blood going to change?
No, the blood ain't going to change.
The blood ain't going to change. We've always joked that John Stephen was the boy king. I remember when he was born, that's the boy king. Then he played football as quarterback, and he's, hanging around Stephen. If you see him at practice,
he's awesome at Highland Park.
He's shadowing Stephen a lot. And I think that he's the boy king, and we'll see how long that takes. But they're grouping John Stephen to take over. He's the one of the grandkids, the grandsons who really more aligned to do that, certainly. But for Will, it's the big picture for Will. Mm-hmm. Whether it's here or somewhere else, I think he is positioning himself to be a GM. And he's turned down opportunities in the past. He's turned down opportunities because he likes to stay here. He wanted to stay here because his son is in high school and he wants to stay with his son. I think his son has one more year in high school. But he signed a 5-year deal. I asked him yesterday because I texted him, and when he got back, and I talked about, he talked about, being appreciative of being able to stay and continue working with the coaches here in the building. They're part of his family at this point. And they're called close friends. I mean, if you follow the Cowboys, not just on the field, not just in personnel, but when they used to run the streets, Will was right there running the streets with Steven. I mean,
those are stories that we should keep off the air.
I'm just saying.
We should keep the street stories off the air.
But they're in line, and they really like each other. But, I asked him about, being a part of the hiring process, how important. He said having the opportunity to learn more about the process and be valued enough to be put in the process. That was important to me, is that they value his input, not just with drafting players, but also when they were deciding on who the next coach was going to be. And so that's important. When people talk about, Will and what he means to the Jones family, they really like him, they value him. But it also helps him is that when it's time for him to and just because he signed a deal doesn't mean teams can't still say, hey, we want you to interview for our GM job.
Yeah,
okay. No. He signed a 5-year deal, but if he gets an opportunity in the next 3 or 4 years, again, his son should be graduating next year, there's a chance that people are going to try to poach him before this 5-year deal is up. And he has more experience, more knowledge in all those areas, not just to pick players, but also to hire coaches.
I mean, on that note, my question for you, because you know this better than I do, but what is that situation for him? Like, what would pull him away? Like, what team, I mean, it seems like he's comfortable here, to be honest.
He likes comfort. He likes comfort. He loves it here. He's from Houston and went to Rice, Houston kid, and he's been here, and certainly he made his bones here. And listen, a lot of times you're beholden to the people that gave you opportunity. The Cowboys gave him opportunity. They made him a scout. They made him head coach of Desperados. They brought him onto the scouting staff. They elevated him to the scouting director. They made him VP. I mean, he's living out his football dreams because of what the Cowboys have set up for him. So there's some loyalty there. He likes it here for sure. But at some point, you might want to run your own show.
Mm-hmm. And it's not going to happen here, probably, to your point. So
I think in knowing Will personally, there has to be somewhere deep down this burning sensation to go somewhere else and do your own thing. Mm-hmm. Like when you look at a guy like, I know that people don't hate when we do this, but we bring up Philadelphia, and you look at Howie Roseman, how he's come into Philadelphia.
There's a reason we bring him up,
and he's been able to kind of run things his way. And yes, you have to get Jeffrey Lurie has to sign off on those things and all that, but he's been given full carte blanche to say, go put together a Super Bowl contending team. And being a part of this organization for over 20 years, I think Will McClay knows and understands that there are limitations in what he can and cannot do. He knows that there are boundaries that are set in front of him. There are road barriers that are set in front of him where he doesn't have the ability to say, no, I want this guy. This is the guy that we should go get.
He's not the final decider on draft
He's
picks.
not the final decider.
No,
He's not the final decider on staffing things either.
No.
And so that has to be burning, right, Clarence? That has to be burning down somewhere in him to saying, what does it look like for me to go and fully allow my wings to spread and really be I'm sure that if there was some biting of the lip and some deference from a guy like Brian Schottenheimer, there's damn sure some biting of the lip and some deference from Will McClay when he's in those meetings, and whether it be personnel, whether it be coaching, when he's talking to the Joneses.
Yeah, everybody has their own personal goals. I mean, just like Brian talked about, when I was 20, I wanted to be the youngest, head football coach. And this is something he always wanted to be. He wanted to be a head football coach. He don't want to just be an offensive coordinator. And just when I was a backup beat writer, I wanted to be number one. I wanted to be the guy that ran my own show. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you want to be. You're a special teams guy. You want to be a starter.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to move. Everybody wants to have their own thing. Joe, don't do that.
Joe said.
I'm coming for you. I mean, I have all the
respect. It's the unspoken. It's the unspoken loud conversation, right? No, you're not teasing.
I'm teasing.
You're not teasing.
Everybody should want.
You want to be the number one. If you don't want to be the number one, something is actually wrong with you.
Yeah, and so that's
all the respect for my guy.
No, that's all good.
You can have respect, but I still want to be the number one.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And so when we talk about Will, at some point you do this, you want to be the final decision maker. You want to see if you can do it. If you can be Howie Roseman and build a Super Bowl champion your way, with your idea. Yes, y'all are aligned. Y'all talk about everything. But again, Jerry Jones, Steven, they're the ones who make the final decision, not you. They're the ones who allow, Jerry Jr. to come from marketing and come and decide, who the head coach is going to be and take that. So, yeah, you want to me, and we're speaking for us.
Yep.
You want to run your own show, and hopefully someday he'll get his opportunity.
Can I have a shout out to Jeremy for the vast deference comment? I think he's a viewer that's been with us for a while, so I think that's a callback to when they beat the Steelers and Jalen Tolbert hurt his nuts, and I said he was the vast difference in that game. So every time I've thought about that too. Every time I hear deference,
you go back to that?
I go back to that.
Jeremy, you rock out with us hard. We appreciate that, man. TC, let's go to the super chat. I saw we had one super chat.
Also, we get some likes before we get out of here. Just
we have 149.
We have 149. We got 2.5 minutes. Can we get to 200 in 2.5 minutes? This comes from Dro Knows. Trade the pick to Miami, swap spots, and pick up their extra third-round pick. Don't draft Genty. It's a deep running back class. We need O-line, DTs, safeties, and linebackers.
They met with Damian Martinez from Louisville High School that went to Miami. They met with him at the Senior Bowl yesterday.
Yeah, and they're going to meet with a lot of guys.
I know.
I mean, it just kills me the Senior Bowl. They met with they're meeting 100 guys at the Senior Bowl.
And they're
going to meet with 100, 200 guys at the Combine. And then they're going to bring about 50 guys in to visit.
I know.
And they met with some guys.
That's the other homecoming story. Is potentially you got Frisco Lone Star, you got Louisville High School.
They're going to meet with guys. Okay.
No, as they should.
That was an example of a guy they could take later on.
Right.
Again, and I'm not hating against Genty.
I mean, there's a thought process that you can, especially if you get value, somebody wants to come up, you trade back because you need more than one thing. The Cowboys have holes across the board. We talked about offensive line. We talked about running back. We talked about receiver, linebacker, cornerback,
safety,
edge rusher, defensive tackle. They could use a lot of help. They're not one player, one guy, one position away. So, yeah, if you can get value and add more picks to get more players, I'm all for it.
They do have 4 comp picks.
But I'm also for taking the best players, too.
They have 4 comp picks, too, by the way, coming. Projected.
Yeah, I think sometimes we're just taking the best player when you have other needs that if you don't fill, that best player won't be at his best.
Yeah.
Is sometimes can be a little bit asinine. So just to me, that's just the way
I feel. We talked about
let's get back. I know we ain't got but a few seconds. I don't care if Henry or Saquon would not be rushing for 2,000 yards in Dallas. I still wanted them on my team.
But is Dak going to be a $60 million guy?
I still want them on my team. I want the best players on my team.
All right, man. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining. We got to 176. Let's get 177. Let's get to 200 tomorrow. For Joe, for Clarence, for myself. Remember, you never know what anyone is going through, so be kind to everyone. Eliminate the contingencies.
Remember the
I'm out.
Titans.
all silly like the mayor.